Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another review for Anime Month, and really going to enjoy this one because reviewing one of my all-time favorites, and probably you see the guys I've talked about before, but you see me get the DVDs, like it was now been over a year though, but it was a character that I grew up, I didn't watch the show particularly though growing up though, but I remember seeing the character back then, the image of the character of our title of the show. So, but that is of Inuyasha, and I love the show. Like I said, growing up, I remember seeing the image of the character Inuyasha, but back then I was well, I would say more it was like playing, I guess you say, on the Adult Swim though. So, but it had a little more maturity because in the show has like blood and killing in it, but a little bit of mild language though. But so back then I didn't pay attention because I was too busy back then. I was watching more of the kids shows like Sailor Moon and Pokemon back then, and also then including Yu-Gi-Oh, which have followed afterwards. But yeah, Inuyasha, I really love the show. And just been watching all the seasons. It feels like that I've been watching it for years. If you ever get that feeling, you get what I mean. So yeah, it feels like I have been watching it for years, like I have been with Sailor Moon and Pokemon. And I love Inuyasha. It's one of my all-time favorite animes. And been wanting to watch the show for years, but now since I got the seasons, now I feel like I have been watching it for years. So, and I'm a big fan of Inuyasha, and of course, see judging for the posters I have up there and there, which that one is the poster for their first movie, which is wherever I can find it. Yeah, that one's for the, which I have the movies right here, so yeah, that one's for the affections touching across time. Yeah, so that's the poster for affections touching across time. And of course, you've seen the other ones up here just really quick. Trying to angle it the best I could here. There you go. So, sorry about that cut there. I guess I must have accidentally hit the unrecord button as I was putting the laptop down. So, but anyway, but I really enjoy the show, and I give credit to the creator, who wrote the manga series. Which I am currently reading the manga series, so I do have the books, but I didn't read the show because I have a lot to want to show here. So, but I am reading the manga series. I give credit to who wrote it, Rumiko Takahashi. I think she made this wonderful series, which is also the alternate title called Inuyasha: A Feudal Fairy Tale, which is in a way kind of like a fairy tale, you can say. So, well, like you say, Japanese fairy tale, so. But yeah. And on the side note, I'm going to take that poster down, though, but I'm going to put another poster up there, but just show I still have it there, though, but maybe I'll put that one somewhere else if I can figure out where I want to put it, though. But yeah. I'm currently enjoying the manga series. I love the show, and I love the characters of Inuyasha. And as for the show, ran from the first 7 seasons ran from 2000 all the way to 2004, and then the final act, which is technically the 8th season, which ran from 2009 to 2010, so sometime later. So, but yeah, and I was reading a couple of reviews on here, see if anyone else reviewed on here on YouTube. So, but so a couple of them said there were some issues with it, sometimes with the characters, which I don't see a problem with. I mean, I enjoy the characters, and as the whole time running the show, I thought a lot of times it's funny. I had my dad sit down and watch the series because, like I said, from time to time again, he said he's been watching other animes like I have been. So he sat down. I got him to sit down and watch all 8 of the seasons, and he enjoyed the show. So he enjoyed the show too, which is good. He definitely got laughs out of it. But I love the series. And as for the story in a nutshell, It follows with this 15-year-old girl named Kagome Higurashi. They are 15th birthday. Her family owns a shrine. It lives a shrine, and this part of the shrine has the sacred Bone Eater's Well, and she also has the sacred tree that they also have as well. But in the Bone Eater's Well, her brother Sota, and for the cat, right? I forget what the cat's name though, but she plays with the cat. Then the Bone Eater's Well opens up, and she gets pulled back in by this demon called Mistress Centipede. And the whole backstory is before all that. How it opens up back in 500 years in the past in the feudal era of Japan, where the half-dog demon Inuyasha, he wants to power up the sacred Shikon jewel, the jewel of the four souls. He wants, because he's half demon, he wants it to become like a full-fledged demon. But back then, he met this priestess, Lady Kikyo, and she also who has a little sister named Kaede. Which there is an episode later on like somewhere between here and the seasons, we get the full origin story back then, how Inuyasha met Kikyo and their love began. But to the beginning, it just shortens that though. But later on, between here and towards the end of the series, there is a special episode where it gives us the full backstory, and which I'll explain because when he met Lady Kikyo back then, because one time under the new moon, Inuyasha loses his powers, it becomes human. And from then on, their relationship begins building, and then at the same time, Kikyo's been tending to this bandit named Unigumo, which the guy had feelings for Kikyo. His heart yearned for Kikyo. But since he was badly burned and he wasn't gonna make it, he made a deal with some demons to enter his body, and that's hence our villain of the whole series, Naraku, was born. Which he's also half demon as well, but he's a very powerful one. Yeah, so Naraku was born, and when he. Since he manipulates. That's what Naraku does. He's good at manipulation and just straight up being evil. But I think it was quite different from the typical villain. A lot of times in villains they want to take over the world and stuff like that. But he wants the power of the Shikon jewel just to have it for its power. But he straight up kills a lot of people. Even times where there was an episode where he even killed children. Little kids too. It shows how cold and sinister he is. To me, I thought Naraku was a little bit different from the average, typical cliched villain, though, for me. And how he manipulates. He first disguised himself as Inuyasha. He did it as Kikyo, and. He manipulates because both of them to turn them against each other, which leading to Inuyasha. He doesn't care about the love relationship he had anymore. He wants the secret jewel. Then led up to badly injuring Kikyo when he was disguised as Inuyasha, and Kikyo used her sacred arrow to pin Inuyasha against the sacred tree. Hence, putting it doesn't kill him, but puts him in his sleep, and hence. That's why for the next 50 years, by the time when Kagome get there, 50 years later, he didn't age at all. He's still sleeping in the same position he was. But back then, when Kikyo was badly on the verge of dying, she tells her little sister Kaede by the time she got injured by a demon, which I forget the name of the demon, was this girl demon who they counter later, who had a history with Kikyo. And she lost her right eye, and that's why years later she has an eye patch, though. But she tells Kaede to burn the secret jewel with her body. And then fast forward to 500 years later, back in the present time of Japan, where Kagome, on her 15th birthday, like I said, she got dragged through the Bone Eater's Well by this demon named Mr. Centipede, which appeared at that beginning of the origin story as well. And she does this, and she had this power to push away Mr. Centipede for now. And then she gets out and feels Which you get the nod to, she makes a Wizard of Oz pun, like, Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore, but here's like, well, Toto, I guess we're not in Tokyo anymore. And she finds her way, she finds Inuyasha pinned to the tree, still sleeping due to the sacred arrow, not aged at all. Like, he's like, is that a boy? And he has ears, like dog ears, and she touches his ears. And then she gets caught by the villagers, and Lady Kaede, who's now much older now, a priestess, at first throws like stuff on her, like, be gone, demon. And he's like, I am not a demon. which the people are skeptical because of the way she's dressed, They say, oh, she may be a foreigner or whatever. But eventually she lets her go and explains that she's not, about, well, Kaede has suspicions that Kagome is actually the reincarnation of her sister, and she senses that she has the power of the sacred jewel Shikon jewel within her. When Mr. Centipede returned, she runs away and heads toward the forest where Inuyasha is in, and he wakes up, and first tells her, like, wow, Kikyo, you're dumb, And which, for then it starts with the fun banter between Kagome and Inuyasha. I always have fun with their fun chemistry they have with each other, especially when they're like arguing with each other. It's like, my name is not Kiko, it's Kagome. Kagome. And Inuyasha's like, yeah, right. Kiko is much cuter. And then eventually she releases the arrow. He's freed, and then he destroys Mr. Centipede, who had the Shikon jewel. So, but he still wants it. And then Lady Kaede puts the sacred necklace that Kikyo originally was going to put on him, but so she puts it on him and tells Kagome, use the sacred word of subjugation. And she gets the idea because since he's like a dog, he tells him to sit, boy. And with the necklace, he makes him slams down to the ground. Sit, boy. I thought that was kind of funny, especially later on in the series when certain ways how when Kagome gets mad, she tells him, Inuyasha, sit. So, and then Kaede tells Inuyasha she is Kaede, but she's grown older, and tells Kagome that since the Shikon jewel is back, more demons seek out its power, even evil humans as well. and then one point where this demon crow has the Shikon jewel, and Kagome shoots the arrow because he connected the crow's foot with the arrow, shoots it, and it's destroying it though, but the jewel shatters into like a million pieces scattered throughout the whole entire land. And from then on, they work together. Inuyasha and Kagome have to work together to find all the shards of the Shikon jewel. Which, by the way, back when I got the DVDs, I have just a few of the seasons. If you can see up there. You see right there, we're next to where the candle is. Where this candle is, you see right here, right there, where I got a few of the seasons, and it came with some exclusive things. Like for the 7th season, it came with that exclusive Inuyasha action figure, which is cool, and Sesshomaru is a scroll, and the one that's in the middle, it has a little jar of the little bits of the shards of the Shikon jewel, which is pretty cool as well. So that makes good collector's items. So, yeah, from then on throughout the whole entire series, there's been this one journey with Inuyasha and Kagome, trying to find all the shards of the sacred jewel and preventing Naraku from obtaining it. And from then on, they met our characters, our other hero characters, our main group. First, they meet the fox demon, Shippo, which he's on a mission because there's 2 demons that killed his father, and one of them is wearing his father's carcass around his waist like a belt. So, but they defeat them as well, and also one part is where before they met the others, Kagome and Inuyasha encounter Inuyasha's older brother, Sesshomaru, who is a full demon. And Sesshomaru, he's just this cold, emotionless, blank-faced demon, which he despises his brother because he doesn't. A lot of times he doesn't consider that half. Since he's a half demon, his mother was a human. He never considered Inuyasha his brother. He always said that, and he always despises him. And to one point where they go to the Netherworld, where they find the remains, the giant skeletal remains of their father, who is this great big dog demon who was a fighter and all that. But you find the inside his skeletal remains the famous sword Tetsaiga, and Sesshomaru and Inuyasha fight, and Kagome pulls out the sword, but and from then Sesshomaru, he's been throughout the whole thing, he's been like pissed because he's wondered why his father let Inuyasha have the Tetsaiga, and which is weapon of destruction, while he gets stuck with Tetseiga, which is a sword of healing. So he's been pretty pissed at why Inuyasha gets to has that sword and not him, why his father would let him not have it. And then they have a fight, and he loses his left arm. When he transforms into his full demon form, Inuyasha cuts off his left arm. For most of the series, for like the whole entire series, he's been left armless. And then, so that's how Inuyasha obtains the Tetsaiga, and for his the move name, the most common he does is the Wind Scar. And then from then on, when he meets our other characters later on towards the end of the season, when he first meets Shippo, like I said, what happened with his father, and then eventually coming across with the monk Naraku, which he has a history with Naraku as well, because his tunnel, his right hand has been cursed because when he opens it, it's kind of like a black hole he has. And it calls it the wind tunnel. It's like a black hole that just absorbs everything. So, but it's a curse that he happened with his father had it, and since the hole got big enough, it consumed him. And now the curse of that has been passed on to Naraku. So he wants to end Naraku so to be free from the curse, so that way he doesn't get sucked up by his own hand. And he's also a perverted monk as well, because he's always grabbing the behinds of girls. When we first did it to Kokomi's like, yeah, you're right, kill him. So, and I like Naraku. He's a funny character. He means well and good at his work, with all that. Although sometimes he has scammed some patrons, for money as well. So, but in a way, I was like, he's kind of like Brock, which is like a womanizer. It's like always asking each girl, saying, "Will you bear my children?" So yeah, I thought it was way he's kind of like Brock, but except Brock always goes up to girls and try to charm them though before Missy pulls him away. But he always Naraku. He's like grabbing girls' behinds. And then later, then they cross the village of demon slayers, and we meet our other main character, Sango, who has a who is one of the best of the young of the dragon slayers, and her younger brother, Kokua. There was Kokua, yeah. Yeah, I just want to make sure I don't want to. No, Kohaku. That's what his name is. Yeah, Kohaku. And now because of Naraku, he brainwashed Sango's brother Kohaku to kill in their father, and as well as all the other demon slayers. And Sango, she gets badly injured though, but she gets saved. And from then on, she has been sent on for revenge for her father and her comrades, and wants to free Kohaku from Naraku's influence, the brainwashing. And she also has this little demon cat named Kilala, which is small and very cute, but when it transforms to this big, mean saber demon, like it can fly too, but it's like saber-toothed teeth and just a big, much version of itself. And so, well, first Naraku, uh, what feeds Sango lies that it was Kagome and Inuyasha's their fault. So she fights it, but she gets misled though. So eventually she joins on with their group, and that's when from then on, our five main characters set on this whole one throughout the whole series to stop Naraku throughout the whole entire series. And then with Naraku, he makes like various incarnations of himself. First, with starting with there's Kana, who is this like an incarnation of Naraku. Who is like has this like emotionless little childlike figure who has a mirror, and then there's Kagura, who she's like the most well known incarnation of Naraku, Kagura, where she essentially she takes a feather and she uses it, transforms into a giant feather where she flies, and she has like powers like her Dance of the Dead and like various wind attacks, and then she's also been the second villain of next to Naraku as well. So, and then there was been other incarnation as well. There was an attempt that later in the series that he released another piece of his flesh that it was a faceless figure, but it was technically the memories of that figurine comes that it was the memories of Onigumo, the one that had the heart for, the one that had the heart. It's basically Naraku's heart, the one that had this human part of himself that yearned for Kikyo. But eventually, since the memories of that guy came back, and since Naraku thought he wasn't ready to be out, so he absorbed him back into his body. And there's been various attempts where Naraku, well, it almost seems like he was defeated though, but not yet. Which hence where Inuyasha learns more abilities to power up his Tetsaiga as well. So, at one point where for the first time when Kagome see Inuyasha and his demon half comes out where his eyes start glowing red and he's like getting more, wanting to kill more, but thanks to Kagome calms him down and snaps him out of it. Coming to one of my let's talk about some of my favorite episodes. One of my favorite episodes is basically the first episode, how Kagome how she time traveled to Japan and first met with Inuyasha. Then into the second episode as well. I would consider that favorite part as well, since it's continuing after that though. So that's I would say is one of my favorite episodes. My favorite episodes is the first three, basically the first three episodes of Inuyasha. And also while when the times when she heads back home, back to her time, the times when she goes to school, because a lot of times since she's been so much time in the feudal era, she's been missing school, and finding out that her grandpa comes up with various excuses about that her three friends, I forget what her three friends are names, but one was like Eddie, and one was, hold on, because they found that the Kagome has like different you've been homesick with this or an ear infection or whatever, like a different like other unnamely illnesses that she had. So, but what else on? I always want to get get their names. Yeah, there's Ayumi, Eri, and Yuka. I think those are the names. And there's also this boy that kind of likes Kagome as well. His name is Hojo as well. But yeah, it's Eri and Ayumi and Yuka. And a lot of times there are times when they're at school with her. They're saying, "Oh, they explain that how Kagome has a boyfriend, and they're asking what he's like, and sometimes says, are because like her boyfriend had another previous girlfriend, Kikyo, and it's like, oh, is he two-timing you again?" So they never got a chance to meet Inuyasha until like towards the end of the season, which at least is one of my favorite episodes as well, which I'll get to that though. But yeah, you get times when she goes back to school and she's trying to do her best to pass tests and stuff like that as well. And another favorite episode is mine, like also in the first season, which was called like it was dealing with this demon called this mask called the No Mask. It's a flesh-eating mask, and because it was in their shrine back in time, back when Kagome's home is, and the No Mask was wrapped up, but since the power of the Shikon jewel shards, it came alive and it requires a body. So you see it consume like firefighters and police officers, and it needs more flesh, and it needs the sacred jewel shards, and hence Kagome needs Inuyasha, which Soda tells Inuyasha to get Inuyasha out. But only Kagome has the power to go down the well, not Soda. So. But he comes out and helps. Comes to the construction site and defeats it basically. But that's also one of my favorite episodes. The episode dealing with the No Mask. And then not particularly one of my favorite episodes in the second season, but in the third season, yeah, definitely. One was like the Fright Night at Faithful Night in Tohenkyo Part 1 and Part 2. Those are another considered my favorite episodes as well, where where Kagome wants to get some days off because to study for her test, and while Sango goes off to fix her Hiraikos, which is the giant boomerang that she carries, Hiraikos. So, but they find downstream there's a mysterious looking fruit that has a human face, and it's called the human fruit, and it's part of this demon tree called Nemenka. So they go out there, they find the tree, and it's led by this horrible sage named Tokujin. And he sucks Inuyasha into his little, what's it called, a gore or whatever, to use him to make into fertilizing, because Tokujin wants the power of longevity. He wants to live forever, basically. And he's using many humans as nourishment for the demon tree. And Kagome, Shippo, and Morocco, they've been sucked into this little village that has also little men in there as well, including a samurai. Explains that well, there's men that want to do training to become sages, but they're just going to end up as nourishment for the tree. And Tokujin finds the jewel shards, and this is the time when, by the time Inuyasha, because it's the night of the new moon, he becomes human for most of the time in this episodes. And and then Tokujin takes a Kagome, and when Inuyasha gets there, he sees her because she's been in this bath, and he sees her naked, and she's like, oh. Or when he gives her his kimono, basically, where it's fireproof, what he explained before. And when Morocco and Shippo are still small, it's like, this is a bad time. And she starts blushing, she screams because she's naked. I gotta laugh at that. But then when they get back outside, they find this old sage who's been turned into a flower, which he was Tokujin's mentor, but he's been kept alive because he knows how the way to make the longevity thing into potion. So, and now Tokujin's no longer human. He must slay him. And the old sage, tells that, think of this way of me making amends. He becomes a bow and arrow, and for Kagome to, since she's the reincarnation of Kikyo, she has like has like spiritual powers like Kikyo. So she uses the sacred bow and arrow to remove the jewel shards from him, and Nemenka, the demon tree, tries to consume Inuyasha, but since it's the next day, he comes back into his half-demon form and defeats the tree, as well as Tokujin. And they think, then Kagome, Shippo, and Moroku thinks he's gone, but he's like, oh, I knew you were alive the whole time. And then finally, like, Kagome's like, you can't blame us, we were worried about you. He's like, stop blubbering. I am not blubbering. Yes, you are. I am not. Yes, you are. And stop crying. I am not. Not. Shut up and sit. That's fine. That's the funny stuff I like between the two of them. I like that. I find it very funny. And then another one of my favorite episodes later on, further down the third season, is goes Shiori's family and Inuyasha's feelings, where in this episode there's a group of demons, a tribe called the Demon Bats, and there's this human village on this near the shore of the ocean, and this woman who has a daughter who is also a half demon like Inuyasha. She's a part demon bat, basically, because her mother fell in love with this demon bat who was who didn't want to kill humans, because the bat demons, they feed off of humans, and their Shiori's grandfather, Taigo Kumuru, they said he would leave the village alone if they give him her daughter, because she has the power, because the power of the Great Barrier that protects the Bat Tribe passes down from generation to generation. So since her father passed, and now she inherited his guardian powers, so promised to leave the village alone if you give her the daughter. But of course they didn't give the workers a lie. They're a bunch of liars. So, and they see that the mother get beat up by the humans, because she, did it with the bat demon. So, but it said how she gave birth to a half demon child, and it reminds Inuyasha how cruel how he was treated when he was a kid. Not only being chased by demons though, but the humans resented him even when he was a child, and you get a little flashback when the people are walking away from him, and he's like, half-breed? And a scene where he runs to his human mother, saying, Mother, what is a half-breed? And you see their mother start crying, so that's a little touching flashback, because how he was treated the same way like Shiori was. Teased by the kids as well, because she was half-demon. But, eventually that, the bad demons, they attack again, and Taiga Kumuru is using Shiori to protect him with the barrier. And there's also, I forgot to mention, the little flea demon Myoga, who is always sucking on Inuyasha's blood, and he always does this, always flattening him. And then eventually when he attempts the backlash wave, but it didn't do it though because he was second too late. But this when Taiga Kumuru told that to the mother that he wanted to respect his son's wishes, that leaving the village alone, but since the old bat, pun intended, he killed his own flesh and blood. He killed his own son because his heart was stolen by a human, and he would leave the tribe if so. So that's why he killed him. And then Shiori, I like the one where she gets pissed and says, "Get out." And the power she just increases, like, "I will avenge my father's death," and just casts him out of the barrier. And then when Inuyasha uses the backlash wave again to destroy him, but then that little red orb that she uses to project the barrier, that's Inuyasha needs to destroy it in order to make his sword stronger. Hence the red Tetsaiga, where he has the power to break through barriers. And I don't want to keep on going through each and everything that happens, like, from other, there's other, like, secondary villains that happen along, though, but I just want to keep on saying what are other favorite episodes of my also favorite episodes of the show as well. Until one point they meet, you can say another ally, because, who wants to, destroy Naraku, named Koga. he's a part of this wolf demon tribe, and some of his wolf companions were killed by Naraku, so he seeks revenge against him. And basically, he also has also the hots for Kagome as well, in which him and Inuyasha are always going at each other because how they feel about Kagome. So they're always going and bumping heads against each other. And Koga, he also has 2 Shikon jewel shards in his legs, which makes him run faster as well. And you get also his 2 other lackeys are always running behind because he runs so fast as well. And also at one point we leads this girl of a different wolf demon tribe name, was that Ayami, who likes Koga because he made a promise to her by the time when she gets a certain age she would marry him under the the night or the moon rainbow or something like that. So yeah, but still, it doesn't stop Koga from flirting with Kagome. So you got Koga as well, who also seek revenge against Naraku. And then the 5th season is also I thought it was good. The 5th season is also good because now Naraku had brought back to life this vicious group of mercenaries calling themselves the Band of Seven, which one is right here. And let's see what else. Yeah, these guys here. The Band of Seven. They're a group of vicious mercenaries, and which is quite funny that the leader of him right there, leader of this Band of Seven. I want to get the leader's name. I just want to just give me a second here. I want to make sure to get this right here. Which they've been basically the villains throughout the most of the season of the 5th season. Which the first Band of Seven member gets defeated by Koga. Yeah, Banko don't what was it? Bankotuzo. Yeah, he's the leader of the band. He's the leader of the Band of Seven, and however, the English dub voice of this character, the leader of the Band of Seven, which is at first I was like, is that voice sounds so familiar? Is that who I think it is? And where is it? And I feel like yes, that is him. That's the guy who Matt Hill, who does the English voice version of Bangitsu or Bangotuso of him. Matt Hill, he voices Jab from Street Sharks, and also as well he voices Ed from Ed, Ed and Eddie. You know, Ed no, just not Double D, but just regular Ed, the most dim-witted one. Double D, wait. You know, yeah, that Ed. So yeah, it's the thing that Matt Hill voices Ed from Ed and Eddie, and as well voices Jab from Street Sharks. Does the English voice of the villain of the leader of the Band of Seven. I thought that was kind of cool because I was like, because that voice, how the way he was speaking like he was Jab from Street Sharks. You know, I was like, oh wow. So that was kind of cool as well. And one of them leads to another. Each of the Band of Seven gets defeated, and the leader, well, the leader eventually gets killed by Naraku because they were up to snuff against what he expected, I guess. And then, hence, he's been also Naraku has been hiding in this mountain, this secret mountain for quite some time. And when Moroku and the Sango, they find this pit down there has chunks of flesh, of Naraku's flesh. And hence, another reincarnation of him was born. This infant. Um, uh, yeah, Moromu. Was it Morom? I can never get the. Was it? How's it? Yeah, because I'm trying to. Because they wanted because they want to cast out, it's like Naraku's heart, and one of because eventually the infant gets split into two halves. Once there's one another hence there's two infants, but one grows up to be this the one this one right here. That's like the main villain of the infant. But I'm just saying. I'm trying. Yeah, but I forget it was like give like the Hagadoshi. I think it was like Hagadoshi. Hagadoshi. I think that mispronounced the name again, but yeah, Hagadoshi. So he's this infant, but well, it gets split. Eventually, it gets split into two though. And which one point, but when it was the first infant though, towards the end of the fifth season, when our group they get taken to this castle, and well, to one point where Naraku, because Kikyo has been wanting to destroy Naraku as well though, but because she was brought back to life during the first season, she's been kept alive by these spirit these things that feed her spirits to keep her alive. And from then on, she's been sent on to destroy Naraku though, but since then she's been like cold, sort of like cold and a little bit emotionless though. But like the whole time, it was Naraku who did this to both you and Inuyasha. So and it's like, I know what happened though, but still. And throughout this whole series also, when you meet with Kikyo, Inuyasha, and especially Kagome, she's been, she thinks she's being pushed on because she said that Inuyasha still has feelings for Kikyo. At one point where he sees kiss though, but I think she was getting a little jealous of that though, and which hence to one point where after the mountain collapsed and Naraku gets new powers, a new form, she attacks Kikyo and she falls down this pit to this river of this toxic stuff, this poison, I forget what the name is though, because it's like there's these insects, these like bee-like things. When Moroku, when he absorbs them, feels pain. It's like that type of poison though, and Inuyasha doesn't want to believe that she's dead, she's still alive, and he gets tricked though because there's this monk that tells her there's this girl who's still alive. So he heads out, and much to what Kagome, her feelings, gets a little bit, we say, saddened basically. And but as he's searching for Kikyo, they get caught to this castle. There's this woman who's like the leader of the castle, but is really the baby speaking for her. And Kagura's there, takes Kagome and brings it to the infant, and he wants to bring the infant closer to her so he can dig around in her heart to find any darkness within her. Because he's saying every person has darkness, even Kagome, and he finds a little speck of darkness and tries to use her and basically let her she gave into the darkness, basically, because let her hold the baby, and Kagura takes her to this one place where Kana is, where he gives her this little this blackened piece of the Shikon jewel to place it in her to be under her control, under the infant's control. But she snaps out of it and explains to the infant, saying, "You wouldn't know because me feeling envy and jealousy towards Inuyasha and Kiko, these are normal feelings what any human would have." And that she admits that she's in love with Inuyasha. And until Inuyasha realizes that's what's going on, so he saves her. And then leads up to another one of my favorite episodes as well, the opening of the 6th season, which is when Kagome heads back home, and when she tries to go back to school for study, though, but her school's having a cultural festival, which her friends explain, and they want her to be like an understudy, to fill in some parts, like act in the school play, sing in the choir, and help with the food. So, but, of course, like coincidence, each of the persons, like for the person who's supposed to do the play and the solo choir, gets sick or injured, so they want her to do the lead solo choir and the lead in the play. And it's like, we're counting on you. And Kagome's like, stop counting on me. And back then also, she also brought back from a present, she brought back some of this dried food, which, if you boil it or heat it up, boil it, it turns into a demon, which Sango knows about this stuff, so, I mean, it's safe to eat, though, but as long as you don't heat it or boil it. Hence, Inuyasha goes back to her time, and they go to her school festival, go to her school. He destroys this demon mushroom, and they have to find more of the demons that were released. Like, one ate all the food, and Kagome and her friends has to redo all the food and all the stuff. And with a funny moment where he's walking around, he sees where all the tables are where you serve each different food, and he's like smelling, and he's like, hey, I know what that is. That stuff burns my tongue. He goes and runs away. Yeah, he doesn't like the curry and rice, which it burned himself. It's like, I know what that is. That stuff burns my tongue. He goes and runs away. And first with Kagome, she's singing in the choir, which is kind of like a version of like that song "Ode to Joy," Like, if you have the way the tone they're singing in that choir, it sounds like that song of the Ode to Joy, basically. And he takes out one demon, then it's time for the school play, and she wants to try to end the play early by altering the script, and like one of her friends, Eddie, I think is in the play. She calls her do her part, right, and her character wants to get married. It's like, okay, right away, and her friend falls, and everyone starts laughing. I had to laugh when the audience started laughing. So they're all like, bah! And her other two friends sitting in the audience like, is this supposed to be like a tragic love story? Yeah, but who cares? It's funny. And then Hojo, the other guy that likes Kagome, he's the prince, and then it's part of the act though. And Inuyasha, he jumps in and is like, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, Kagome tells him to play along with this thing, and like the Hojo pulls out his sword, right, and then Inuyasha pulls out his Tsusaika, which is like a giant sword compared to what he has. And this other big demon shows up, and he destroys it, but everyone thinks it's part of the play, and they both fly off, and everyone starts clapping, hooray, hooray! And then there's one last demon, basically it's a giant catfish, which is easy to use it as dinner. And that leads to another part, one of my favorite series shortly afterwards. Another one, I think it's definitely one of my favorites, where there is this village of women. What was that episode name? It was the Curse of the Hanging Wall, or a second here. Doo-doo. Yeah, trapped of the cursed wall hanging. Yeah, trapped of the cursed wall hanging. As where there's this village of women, and well, it's supposed to be a village of demon women, which they are assumed to. But like there's one samurai goes to the village, but he gets drugged and he's thrown into this part of the shrine where this demon inside a scroll where it craves male human flesh, and just consumes him. And then the remaining women, they just take the carcass and just dumps it in the river. But our group, we come across this one guy who's looking for his missing fiance. And, like, of course, with Moroku, who's flirting with the other women, and Sango gets pissed because she likes Moroku. She, like, even one point where this lady exorcist, and when a few episodes back, like, oh, you like this monk? I can see it's all over your face. Yeah, so she likes Moroku, and point where she heads out on her own. She gets captured by the women, dragged under the water into this cave, and this elder one that's like saying, "Oh, we'll make you one of us," and because they have this weird green vapor seeping out of their mouths, because they all have realized, and they all each have like demon salamanders in them. Like the woman forces Sango to swallow one of the eggs, and she becomes one of them in the next episode. Moroku's next, my other favorite episode, Moroku's Most Dangerous Confession, which Moroku figures out because since he got put into the shrine and finds out the demon inside the scroll, saying that she was a demon of the nearby marsh and she was exorcised by the monk and sealed inside a scroll. But since Naraku's this cloud of power caused by Naraku has been given her power, so last through all the demons. So he saves the guy who has a fiance who has also been controlled as well, and he uses like a suture seam to put him right here where the seam demons in the other side of the belly is, to punch them in the stomach to make them vomit it out. And then they fight the other women. They use those to make them cough them up, and then realize the song was missing because since it was Kagome saying it was your fault since you're flirting with the other girls, she gone missing, and Moroku fights Sango because she's been taken over as well. She's been possessed too, and realizing how she's a strong, worthy opponent, because he gets cut by her first with a sword and cut on the other arm and across his face, and it's like I should have known. You're truly fearsome as an opponent. And eventually he punches her in the stomach, makes her cough it up. And then later, he confesses, like, because up to this point he's never asked her the question before, for why I've heard after as long as I watched the show. He says, after Naraku has been defeated and the curse of my wind tunnel has been lifted, if we made it through this far, will you come live with me? Would you bear my children, Sango? And she says yes. And Kagome was like, oh wow, he proposed to her. And of course Inuyasha, being as dense as he is, he's like, he poses a what? So Sango says yes, and Marco's like, you will? Like 10 children, even 20? And she's like, yes. But we promised we stop flirting with the girls, and he's like, So yeah, that's another one of my favorite episode as well. And then it gets to one part. There's this 2-part episode where it's called "The Woman Who Loves Sashomo." It's not one of my favorite episodes, but it leads up because this whole time talking about Sashomaru. But around that time, like towards the end of the beginning of the season of the show, there's this human girl named Rin who she doesn't like being around humans because her family was killed by bandits. So this whole time she's been journeying with Sesshomaru, including his little apprentice. Well, not really apprentice, but he basically gets treated like shit by Sesshomaru. His name is oh, what was his name? He's like a little imp goblin. Crap, what was his name? He's always trying to please Sesshomaru. He has like he's useless in a fight, but occasionally how he fights, like, is he has his staff of two heads which breathes fire, but that's not basically about it though. That he's a useless side character, and Sesshomaru treats him like shit. He basically ignores him a lot, you know. But yeah, Jockin, that's his name is Jockin. But yeah, but the character of Rin, she's been journeying this whole time with Jockin and Sesshomaru, and I think to one point where she likes Sesshomaru, even though she's a little girl though. But what is another episode I'll get to later though. But getting into with Sesshomaru, there's a 2-part episode there is called "The Woman Who Loves Sesshomaru." There's this woman who liked him, but even with Sesshomaru, he's being as cool as he kind of brushed her off though. But towards the end, because she was possessed, because she too was given like Udagumo, how the demons absorb into her. Same thing with her. But even when she was defeated, when she turns to dust though, I guess Sesshomaru shows a little bit of respect for because she played the flute, and when she died, disintegrate the dust. He does like put the flute where her pile of dust is, kind of like a grave, you can say. But then he moves on. So he shows a little bit of respect to that though. Puts it right there on her pile of dust, basically, but still it goes back to being himself after that, saying just walking as if it never happened. And then, which led to, let's see, at least to another words of one of my favorite episodes. Another one, Banquet of Moroku's Master, which is this monk who, Master Mushin, as the guy's name is. He's the monk that raised Moroku since he was a kid, since his dad, because when he was a kid, since seeing his dad be absorbed by the wind tunnel, the monk, Mushin is one who held him back. No, Moroku, you'll be sucked into your father's vortex. Father! So yeah, the monk that raised him. He's got a little bit of a slob too. He's like, his bed's all messy when he's lazy as well, but he's always drinking sake, and then they assume he's gonna die because all the other monks of high power, because of the infant and Kagura. They're doing all of his chores, like clean the temple, the laundry, and etc. But he wants to get this sacred sake from these other people that makes this good sake. So they go to the mountain. There's this fog, which is kind of like, it makes everyone there intoxicated, basically. Like how it makes like Kagome, oh, I'm gonna sing, la 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 la. It makes like Shippo, and even this other demon, this raccoon dog named Hachi. They all transform into Kagome as well, and Inuyasha, even like where Sangwa, she gets intoxicated, like she's like, oh, Inuyasha, she started being more affectionate towards Inuyasha. It's like, oh, Inuyasha, forget that flirting monk Moroku. I have that. And like Moroku's like getting like a little angry, and even Sangwa attempts to kiss Inuyasha. And then Kagome is like, sit, and continuously, where he's getting slammed to the ground, and then Sangwa uses Hiraku's, and Moroku's like, you flirting cheat! But they get the sake, and they think he's done, but actually not, because he's perfectly healthy, but the bloody choke that Hachi saw, he was actually choking on a fish bone. So you're not gonna die! And then at least another one of my favorite episodes in the 7th season, like, it was like Forever with Lord Sesshomaru, where Rin, her and Jockin were discussing that when and when Sesshomaru builds his own empire, Jochen will be there like his assistant, I guess. But Rin wants to be there too, though. But he's like, "You want to be there too? You want to be there as well? To us demons, 100 years is nothing at all. But for you humans, time is everything. By the time my lord's empire will be built, you will be long gone." And Inuyasha saying, "Stupid Jochen, I'll always forever be with Lord Sesshomaru." So there's a little indication where, yeah, she wants to be with him forever. Indication that she likes Sesshomaru, but and part there's also she gets taken by this demon who takes children, kind of like the Pied Piper, basically. But there's a group of monks that seek out to destroy demons and they rescue the children. But Rin doesn't want to go with them because humans are terrible. And she's calling out to Lord Sesshomaru. He gets there, overpowers the monks, but doesn't kill them though, and tells Rin to come along. And even more important, where she asks the question, it's like, "Lord Sesshomaru, even when I die, will you remember me? Will you ever forget about me?" And he's like, "Don't say silly things like that." So, and then leading up to like where, and also yeah, one of my favorite episodes is the name of the episode The Lucky but Two-Timing Scoundrel. This is another one of my all-time favorite episodes where Kagome's friends, her school friends, they finally get to meet Inuyasha, where they assume what was going on between them and think he's two-timing him again, and one part where she gets a new bike, but then Inuyasha breaks it. She gets pissed about that, and it's like, "Sit!" again. And the word where they go to his house, to Kagome's house, and they see the bike is in much all discombobulated, and she gets pissed and tells her to sit again and breaks more stuff in the shed where he's helping her grandpa out. And another part where she was trying to pay back for the bike, and like her little brother Sota, it's like, this is the year, because by this time Inuyasha required another ability for a Setsai called Adamant Barrage. Basically, you'd shoot out little spurts of diamonds, basically. But call it adamant because they don't know what a diamond is. And for one he tries to do it, but nothing came out of it. And he tries to do it again and almost hits an airplane that was flying by. Yeah, but to the point where when her friends, when Kagome leaves her friends in her bedroom, he pops up to the window and is like, "Yes, you're the one who was the nutcase of the cultural festival. That guy is Kagome's boyfriend?" And when she comes back in the room, she sees him talking to him, and she kind of like this and falls to the floor. And thinking that they're gonna freak out because if he's a half demon though, but they don't find that out though. But it's like, hey, he's gotta be biracial. Bi what? But then there's like, oh, he's sweet, totally cool, you know. And he's like, and as he leaves, like, Kagome, he's not as half bad as you thought he would be. So yeah. And also the music in this whole, and I'm gonna mention the music throughout this whole series, I really do enjoy. A lot of like the when the action comes, the music when the action is happening, I like the music to that. Even with the subtlety, like what was it? La da da na 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 na. Or even the opening, especially the first season of the opening of Inuyasha. I love the music that was by V6. I want to change the world. I love that music. I love that song. I wish that it would have stuck throughout the whole entire series though, but each opening of each season is different though. Which they're pretty good though, but the best one is always the Change the World by V6. I really love that song. Whether it's the shortened version or the full song version of it. I love that song. That's like one of my favorite songs for an opening of an anime. Well, outside of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Sailor Moon. But as for other animes go, this is one of my favorite songs for an opening of an anime. I really love I Want to Change. I want to change the world. So I enjoy the score of the series. I really do enjoy the whole score of the show. And to one point where let's see. And as for the voice cast, how can I forget about the voice cast? Um, the whole voice cast does a really great job, really good. Inuyasha, voiced by Richard Ian Cox. Really phenomenal job as Inuyasha. I really like. He did a great job as the voice. Um, Monica Story, who voices Kagome. Well, sadly though, up until like throughout the whole series, but she does a really good job. But she's replaced by Kyra Tozer for the final act, though. But Monica Story, who voices Kagome through the first and seventh season, she does a really phenomenal job as well. She did a really great job. I really enjoyed her voice. And Kyra Tozer, who does voice Kagome at the final act, she does a good job as well. Trying to do the best of the resemblance for Monica Story's voice as well. Very close resemblance of the voice to what she does in the final act. So I really think she does a good job as in it as well. Kirby Maru, who voices Moroko, does a really great job. Kelly Sheridan, who voices Sango, she does a really good job. Jillian Michaels, who voices Shippo, she does another good job as well. Willow Johnson as Kikyo. Michael Dangerfield. Well, it was for the final act though, but for David Kane, who does for the other series as well as the movies, as Shomaru, they both do a good job. Both for the original series and for Michael Dangerfield in the final act as well, which I couldn't even tell. They both sounded the same for me, so. But they both did a great job. Don Brown as Jockin, Brianna O'Brien as Rin. For Kohaku, there was like 3 different voice actors for Kohaku. Like first for the episode 24 to 101, Alex Dudok, and then Danny McKinnon for 102 up to the last to the 7th season of the series, and then Aiden Drummond as for the final act as Kohaku. I thought they did a good job as well. Scott McNeil as Koga, I thought he did a good job as too. And as for Naraku, Paul Dobson, I thought he did a phenomenal job as Naraku. And as for the voice cast, like Janice Judd as Kagra as well. But the remaining other voice cast, if I can mention, the whole voice cast does a really great job, but especially for our main characters. And then when the final act comes in, one point until the point our villains start dying off, like Kagra, like she wanted to be free from Naraku's control when she gives her heart back, but of course betrays her and stabs her, and at the point where she did like Sesshomaru, because when she were dying, she's like, I was glad to see you one last time, and then until she faded in the wind. Faded into the wind, right? A lot better for a death of a character than what Luke Skywalker did in Last Jedi. How he faded like into the wind, like say like a far in the wind. But with Kagra, I know there's a difference between animation and live action, but still, how she faded into the wind because she wanted to be the wind. That was much more of a better death for a villain than our supposed to be a hero for Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. I'm just pointing out because comparisons, you know, dying become like the wind. I don't know, but Luke Skywalker's death pissed me off a lot. So, but yeah, the Kagra's death, how she became like that, was handled better than that in The Last Jedi. Just making comparison because how it was like the same thing. So, and eventually Kanashi gets killed off, and then another time Naraku had another incarnation made as well. Was a Bakuya, I forget his name. I mispronounce his name. And to one point where Naraku, he gets the full Shikan Jewel after what Kohaku, he gets free from control and stealing from Kohaku. Becomes like this giant spider. It's over the village where Lady Kaede is. Until one point leads to another where eventually Naraku is finally defeated. But he had a plan with Bahaku. He used this thing to create this from another ability that the Tetsaiga had. Inuyasha's Tetsaiga had, where it sends Kagome to this other part, like inside the Shikan Jewel, where gets for inside of it though, and she's talking to it's like the Shikan Jewel is talking to her, and it's like what would agree to grant her wish. Like it's supposed to grant like Naraku's wish, but eventually where Inuyasha gets in there and Kagome wishes the Shikan Jewel to never exist and it disappears forever, and Inuyasha and Kagome share one kiss together. Then eventually she gets put back into her own world, and the well has been sealed off for 3 years, and this leads to where Kagome is now 18. She finishes high school, and eventually it becomes a happy ending, which she permanently goes to the feudal era and wants to live there to be with Inuyasha. So her mother understands, so she now wants to forever live in the feudal era to live with Inuyasha. And then as the credits are going, and by the time Miroku and Sango, they had 2 twin girls, and then it just had a newborn son, and then the song during the credits that I really do enjoy by Duaz Infinity. Like, well, I can't say it because I say in Japanese though, but I really love that song by Duaz Infinity as the credits are going. I love that song, and it shows that's how what's happened. And like Soda, he's much older as well. He's been saying, to his friends, like, want to meet his sister, and it's like, that's hard to do. She got married right after high school. So, and then it ends with Kagome narrating what's been going on with our characters. Like Koga married Aimi to reunites the Wolf Demon tribe. She's been practicing like how to make medicines and perform exorcisms, and Kohaku's been becoming a much stronger demon slayer. And with Sesshomaru, she's been with Ren. She's been living living with Kae, to become more comfortable around living with humans again. And Sesshomaru, which I thought was very funny, when they see Sesshomaru flying by, and Joken's like, "Oh, look, Sesshomaru, I see that Kagome has returned." And Kagome goes and says, "Big brother!" And I lost when Sesshomaru gives that that annoyed look on his face. And then Joken's like, "Oh, how dare she offer such awful words?" And then Sesshomaru's like, "Shut your mouth, or I'll kill you." And then it ends with Kagome and Inuyasha staring at the cliff of the sunset, looking at the landscape, and she's saying, "As I live in this world, I know things are going to change, but I'm not worried about the future. I'm going to spend every day with Inuyasha, and I know we'll be together as we head towards tomorrow." Holy crap, man. Over an hour in, god dang. But hey, this is one of my all-time favorite animes. I always want to make it as long as I can, though. So if you made it to this far in this incredible review of Inuyasha, congrats to you. Because if you're fans, I'm glad you stuck with me through this whole entire time, for this whole over an hour and 10 minutes now. God frick. But yeah, it deserves it though. Inuyasha deserves a great review for this, because I love the show. I love the characters, especially for Kagome and the chemistry between her and Inuyasha. I love Sango, Miroku, Shippo, Sesshomaru. I always enjoy the villain for Naraku. He's a really good villain. People say that because were the times when he was supposed to get defeated, but he comes back again. I was like, whatever. Okay, it's supposed to have the way it is for 8 seasons basically. It's worth it, for me. I love the series. and it's a great series. It's a great like fairy. Let's say it's a feudal fairy tale, and that's what it is. It's a great fairy tale story. It does have like a lot of heartwarming moments in it, and a lot of good humor and like good sense of action. I love the series, and it's definitely worth me doing a long review of this show. So yeah, I better end it here because I don't continue going on because, like I said, I love this. I love the show. It's a great anime. I don't see what people don't like about the show. I don't get it though. I won't understand it, but I don't see what's so bad about it. Pretty much love everything about it. You know, from the score, the characters, the animation has progressed over time. I still enjoy the anime, but like it was released in 2000. You still get that old quality 90s style animation like Sailor Moon was back in the 90s. From the beginning though, from the start of the show. I love the song choices like "Change the World" by V6 for the opening of the first season, as well. I like the song by Do As Infinity that played at the end of the final act. You know, during the credits. So yeah. And especially the score throughout the other openings and closing moments as well. But V6 Change the World is the best one for me. And it's a closing ending, so yeah. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this long review. It's over an hour long review of Inuyasha. It's worth it, and then it's definitely one of my favorites. It's worth doing. So. But I'm glad I reviewed this. Definitely one of my favorite all-time favorites. Definitely give it a thumbs up. But thanks for watching, and stay tuned. And as if you enjoy Inuyasha, that's great. And if you haven't seen this, I highly recommend you check out this show. But I don't say anything bad about it. But if you hear that noise, I'm getting a text message. So, but yeah, better end it right here. But Inuyasha, I love. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned on the next anime review. Later. Oh, I'm sorry about that. There was one thing I forgot to mention. If you notice, just now, shortly after I supposedly finished, though, I put this back in the point of if anyone notices the changes here or so. But I forgot to mention one important thing towards the end of the final act. Just really quick, I forgot to mention how Kikyo ends. Forgot to mention that. It ended with when she's finally put to rest. How her and Inuyasha wanted to be alone, while the rest of the others they sit on top of the hill while they're watching, and Kikyo and Inuyasha share one final kiss together before Kikyo departs and back into the afterlife. And Kikyo, back in the village, Kaede senses it, and she shed a tear before she sees her sister one last time. Kikyo speaks to her one last time before she disappears back into the afterlife, and Kaede sheds a tear. So I forgot to mention that little moment during the final act. So yeah, if anyone mentions it, so I'm putting this right now. So, but yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention. But I still love the show. And great show. So that's one thing I wanted to mention, but I still definitely give it 2 thumbs up for me. But I hope you enjoy this going like almost an hour and 20 minutes in. But if it's a long review of an anime that I do love, it's worth doing it. So hope you made it through this whole entire time and enjoyed it though. So I haven't done a long review like this in a long time anyway. So, but yeah, but I love this. I love this show. It's one of my all-time favorites. Definitely worth watching. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next review for Anime Month. Later.